One thing you'll learn is who's in your corner. You'll know, I put out a call like, hey, I'm making my first feature film. It's a no budget. Anybody who's interested in helping me out, reach out to me, please. I'm going to go for this. And people I knew for years that I thought were going to reach out to me and be like, yeah, what can I do? What can I help you with? Never heard nothing from these people. Other people who, were just acquaintances and stuff reached out to me. Hey man, I got some free time. I'd love to help you out. What can I do? So you'll be really surprised at who will reach out and who won't, who really is interested in helping you out, and other people who said they always would be, but when it came time to actually helping you out, didn't show up at all. So it's worth finding out those people in your life, and knowing who you can depend on, and who's just talk. To those that are in your corner, you never forget those people. If my career ever takes off, I'm never going to forget those people that were there from the beginning that really helped me out when I really needed them to. And that's how I look at this feature film for me. You'll find out what you're capable of. You'll put yourself in this situation to make this feature film, and you'll see that if you can pull it off, think about it from the perspective that if you can make a feature film for $10,000, then technically you could probably make any film you ever want to, because it's not easy making an hour and a half long film with several characters and locations and all this other stuff for less than 10K. It's just not. It's just, there's too many moving pieces. And so going through that experience really just allows you to think, wow, I could have been doing this whole time. I mean, I could have probably had a few feature films under my belt at this point had I just started earlier. Making this first feature film was just the intent of just getting a film done. I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to do it. But once I got it done, it was like, wow. I mean, it opened up my mind to realize if I can do that, what can't I do? What kind of film can't I make? In fact, my second feature film is much more ambitious than the first. And it's because I'm thinking differently now. I'm thinking, wow, well, if I could pull that off, I think I could pull this off, and so I'm writing something that's much more my voice. And it was all thanks to this feature film and going through this whole experience. I felt like a fool for just waiting so long. That's one thing that definitely popped out. It's like, what took me so long to make this feature film? I wasted too many years. In fact, I made the film, and the film itself was probably a little outdated at the point by the time I made it, because I wrote it 7 years previous, and then tried to get funding for it within 5 years, and eventually got the funding, and then eventually made the film, and so on and so forth. And it was like, what? I was a different filmmaker by the point of making it from when I wrote it. When in reality, I could have probably wrote it, directed it, edited, and everything just within a year, but I just didn't take that approach. And so looking back on it, yeah, that was one major thing that stuck out to me. I not only did that stick out to me, but I also just realized that the timing's never going to be perfect. The timing wasn't perfect to make this film. The timing probably won't be perfect to make my next film. I'll probably be short on budget again, but it's not going to keep me from actually making the film. There's always going to be something coming up. Nobody's just going to wait around to write you a great check for the perfect amount just so you can make the perfect film that you want to make. And if you get that and you screw it up, where do you go from there? It's nice to actually have things not be perfect and you go for it. And if it doesn't quite work out, you can always kind of feel that feeling of like, well, I did have this, and this working against me. So you can kind of almost use that to your benefit, only to say like, it's not always going to be perfect. But, like I had mentioned before, some filmmakers got their big breaks at 21 into Sundance, and, where they went from there, they went down because they caught fire too early, and they didn't really know how to react to it when their second film didn't really do so good. And of course, it taught me what my strengths and weaknesses were. You may know or think what your strengths and weaknesses are, but later on, you'll really, really find out when you go through that whole process. You'll be like, I knew I wasn't great at sound, but I didn't know it was this bad. Or, I knew that I was a good cinematographer, but I didn't realize that I had grown so much in cinematography and I actually better than what I had given myself credit for. Little things like that, you know? So you'll just kind of really, really come to terms with where you are as a filmmaker after making such a big project. I don't know the exact statistics on it, but it's something like 90% of filmmakers that make one film never make another film. Okay. And out of those 90% that don't make another film, that small 10% go off to make another film, and 80% of those filmmakers never make a third film. For me, that's unacceptable. I got to make at least 3 films. And honestly, I'm going to just keep making films my whole life. I don't care about making the return so much. As long as it's not really hurting me financially and I'm making films, then I'm happy. I don't necessarily even have to be making it for a living. If I just find a way to make films, I know I'll be happy. But many filmmakers, they fail because they quit. They didn't get that early success that they wanted, and they give up. They put their expectations too high. They think that they got to get to a certain level right away or it's nothing. They need to realize that thousands of films are made every year. So most people who want to make a feature film don't even write a feature film, let alone actually make a feature film. So you should take every step that you achieve as a reason to just throw a party, literally. Another reason why filmmakers give up or why they fail all together is because it's a lot harder than they expected it to be. Each feature film you make will probably take at least a year of your life. It may not be a continuous year, but writing it, then producing it and directing it, editing it, distributing it, all of that, you compile it together, it's going to take a year of your life. So you have to be all in and dedicated. And there's no guarantee on a return. So you're going to do all that work and then very little in return. And you're going to think, do I really want to do this again? And you quit. Well, it's like that when you don't have any success. But when you do have success, it's an amazing feeling. So I would suggest just keep pushing yourself. And the truth is, if you go through that experience one time, you'll find yourself going, well, I'm not going to go through all that again unless there's something really to pay off on the end. So you'll definitely not make the same mistakes twice. So I really suggest don't give up. Don't be one of those filmmakers that's in the 90 percentile of quitting after making just one feature film. Keep going.